In a land of ice, vast forests, shimmering waterways, and rugged mountains, so remote that few outsiders ever set foot there. A land so far from the centers of power that rivals in Europe debated whether it was worth the trouble. On October 18, 1867, that land, known then as Russian America, officially became part of the United States. The U.S. flag was raised, sovereignty was transferred, and what seemed at the time a curious gamble would, in the decades ahead, turn into one of the most significant territorial acquisitions in American history. Today, we're going to walk through that moment, how and why the transfer happened, what it meant then, and how it still echoes today. Hi, and welcome to Earth Sights on This Day series, and in this video, we're going deep into a landmark date in American history, October 18th, 1867, the formal transfer of Alaska from Russia to the United States. That single act altered geography, geopolitics, economies, and the fate of indigenous peoples in profound ways. It speaks to diplomacy and power, to vision and risk, to natural resources and frontier opportunity. If you've ever wondered how the 49th U.S. state came to be, then this is the story. First, let's rewind. In the early 1700s, explorers from Russia set their eyes on what is now Alaska. Over time, Russia carved out a foothold across that vast territory, hunting sea otters, trading fur, building settlements, and extending its influence. But by the mid-19th century, a number of things changed. Russia had just suffered a humiliating defeat in the Crimean War, 1853-56. Its economy was strained, its imperial ambition stretched, and its far-flung territories harder and harder to maintain. Meanwhile, the British and the Americans were pushing westward, the Hudson's Bay Company and British interests advancing toward the same northern Pacific Rim. Russia realized that holding Alaska might become more of a liability than an asset. At the same time, on the American side, the doctrine of manifest destiny and the post-Civil War expansionist spirit were pushing the United States outward. Secretary of State William H. Seward, in particular, believed that the U.S. should secure not just the continental heartland, but access to the Pacific and the Arctic. He began eyeing Alaska as an opportunity. Thus, a remote territory, Russia looking to offload it, the U.S. ready to expand, it set the stage for a deal. In December 1866, Russia's envoy in Washington, Edouard de Stoeckel, was instructed by Tsar Alexander II's government to open talks with the U.S. The Americans, still healing from the Civil War, were less inclined to leap into new territory, but Seward pressed ahead. On March 30th, 1867, the Treaty of Cession was signed. The U.S. would purchase Russia's North American possessions, roughly 586,412 square miles, for $7.2 million, around 2 cents per acre. Those numbers sound staggering in hindsight, but at the time many Americans weren't sold. Critics called it Seward's folly or Seward's icebox, questioning why the United States would buy a frozen wasteland. In the U.S. Senate, debate was fierce. Senator Charles Sumner even delivered a 3-hour speech in favor of the purchase. Eventually, the treaty was ratified and the U.S. prepared to take possession. From the Russian side, many factors drove the sale. Dwindling fur resources, the cost of defending the territory, fear of British encroachment, and the sense that if Russia didn't sell, it might lose the land anyway or at least have to pour ever more resources into it. On October 18th, 1867, at Sitka, on what is now Baranof Island in Alaska, U.S. and Russian forces stood together for a symbolic ceremony. Russian troops lowered their flag. American troops raised the stars and stripes. Brigadier General Lovell H. Rousseau for the U.S. accepted the territory. Captain Alexis Pesharov for Russia ceded it. At the stroke of that moment, Russian America became American territory. A quirky calendar note to keep in mind. Russia had been using the Julian calendar, which by then was 12 days behind the Gregorian calendar used in the U.S. So while for some Russians the date might have still looked like October 7th, it was October 18th for everyone using the modern calendar. But the key point remains. On that day, the transfer took place and the legacy began. If you found this story fascinating, Please like this video, subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into Earth-shaping events, and share this with friends who love history, geography, or big ideas. In the comments below, let me know, did you know about this purchase before? What surprised you most about Alaska's journey? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for watching. See you next time.